Welcome to the astrology intro to the astrology of 2026. So, normally, what I've done in the last years is I just do like a 2 hour webinar on the astrology of 2026 and or of whatever year it is. And obviously, there's a lot in a year and 2 hours, and that includes, time for questions. I'm like kind of moving through things, quickly, talking about things for a few minutes and then moving on. And for those of you who have been my students or followed me for a while, you know that I actually was offline. I was on hiatus from the beginning of August, like August 1st, through almost the rest of the year. I mean, I actually started to write lunar insights for the new moon and the full moon in sometime in November. I can't remember. But my membership, I canceled all memberships. I took the membership component down. I was wrapping up hosting a astrology hub. I was the guide for their inner circle. So I did do a little bit more stuff in August up until the sun moved into Virgo, and then we had that new moon, and then I passed the baton on to the next host. And then I stopped doing all work, and I was on pilgrimage. Um, there's a whole story around that, and I'm not going to go into that now, but I'll just tell you I was really burnt out. Not because of my work, because I love my work, although the problem is I love my work so much, I have a hard time having boundaries around my work and I'll like work too much. So that was a little bit of it, but there was also just some like family things going on and health things with family members and then my own stuff happening. And I was just like, I need to just go in. And so I went dark. I was off of all social media. I actually didn't do any astrology. Like there was a few times I might have checked something here or there, but I wasn't tracking the astrology for like 4 months, which is really weird because I'm used to tracking the astrology. And I just had to strip away all these identities like astrologer, teacher, healer, mother, daughter, priestess. I don't even know, whatever. I just had to like dissolve and go into this void space. And it was really profound. I'm still integrating it. I'll have a little bit more to say about it at the very end, but not a lot. I'll be sharing more, through various things that I share in the coming months. So, with that said, this is my first like major thing that I've done. So, thank you for being here. And I'm just going to check and see. Yeah, it's still showing the other thing. The delay is really insane. Anyhow, so we're gonna just dive in here. I just want to see if you guys are lovely to see you return. No, see, you got it's weird. Your comments are in time with what I'm saying, but what I'm seeing over there on I don't know, something weird's going on, but I'm gonna like, I have no idea. It's really weird. Your guys' comments are timed with how I'm speaking, but the video that is showing for me, both on the back end of YouTube and on my YouTube channel, are like many minutes ago. Anyhow, I can see right now, I see that the PowerPoint just went up. So it's whatever. Okay, we're moving on. So, welcome. If you stay till the end, there'll be time for Q&A. And let's just start by calling in the Divine Mother. Surround, bless, and protect us. Surround this gathering with love and light and wisdom and power, integrated, embodied, coming from the heart, source from the heart. May the transmission that comes in and through serve the highest good of all concerned that are here receiving the highest good of the world as we move into this year that looks to be pretty transformative. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed be. All righty. That's me. Okay, so most of you know me, but sometimes there's new people, so I just want to just say a few things. I'm Harmony. My real name is Harmony. People always ask me that. Divine Harmony is my website name, but my real name's Harmony. I've been studying astrology for 30 years. Literally, I started in 1996. I've been writing about astrology, doing readings for 18 years since 2008. I've been teaching for 15 years. In 2023, I actually had my first full Jupiter return for teaching astrology classes online, in conferences, also some in class person things. So my background is depth psychology. I have my master's degree in depth psychology from Pacifica Graduate Institute. I'm an initiated high priestess. I've been studying shadow work for 10 years, and I write, I teach. It's like my passion. I have Mercury conjunct Jupiter, trine Uranus, and I think that's why I love to write and teach. Um, I love to teach astrology, living sky, especially, tropical, but the living sky, which is Stargate Mystery School was all about uh, pre-patriarchal myths, the myths that were there before the modern myths were told of, the constellations that are, predominantly the hero who's slaying, killing, conquering, winning, a mythos that is like destroying our planet. Like we can't be coming at nature, at each other, at the shadow within from this place of kill and dominate and win. And so I teach the older myths that were there before that told a very different story. Myth is a product of consciousness and it changes over time. So it's normal for myth to change, but we've been stuck in a stasis around our myths. We've been locked into something old, toxic, and not only no longer working, but taking us into the direction of what I believe is actually potential extinction of humanity. If you just look around and see what we're doing to each other, to the environment, there's only so much that we can do until it kind of goes beyond the point of no return. And I don't think we're quite there yet, but I think we're close. And so I teach these things because I think we need to remember what was there before and find a new way forward. So I'm also really big into health and genealogy and ancestral lineage work, which is a big part of what I was doing over the last 5, 6 months, especially when I was traveling. And I love what I do. So my website is divineharmony.com, and that's my logo. And bringing heaven down to earth is really what inspires me. I don't think we're here to go up and out. I think we're here to come down and in. So today's exploration, we are going to talk about the tarot cards for 2026 and the Chinese New Year of the Fire Horse that's coming in February with a very powerful new moon that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the powerful Sirius portal we're in. Starts tomorrow, but really, actually, for those in Pacific time, it's late tonight. It's early tomorrow morning in my time zone. I'm in Mountain Time right now. And this is what called me out of the void to start teaching again, because I've been waiting. I've literally been waiting for the universe to go, now's the time. And I was just like, okay, it hasn't come yet. That's why I only was doing the lunar insights. And then all of a sudden it came in. And then I looked at the astrology. I didn't see the astrology and go, oh, now I'm going to do this. I felt this call. And then I looked at the astrology and I was like, oh, of course. It's Sirius calling me because I have Jupiter conjunct Sirius and I'm very connected to Sirius. So anyhow, we're in this profound portal and I'll talk about it. And then I'm going to introduce the major astrological events unfolding in 2026, and there's a lot. It's a big year, and you'll understand why by the end of this talk. And then in these things that I'm presenting, the Sirius Portal series I'm offering that actually starts tomorrow and goes until the 10th, one class each day at 2 o'clock, same time, and then also recorded for those who can't make it live, will be deep dives into these different things that are coming up this year, and more on that when we get to that. I'll talk about the word of the year. I'll talk about what people are saying the word of the year is, and then I'll talk about what I think the word of the year is. And then I'll talk a little bit more about the Sirius Portal offering, and then a few other offerings, discounts, and then we'll end with Q&A. And so if you stay till the end, you can participate in that. And I'm just doing one more check here to make sure everything looks good. Yes, oh, good. Okay. All right. Rolling with the punches, right? So let's dive into the tarot and even the numerology of the year. So 2026, when you're looking at the tarot cards, you add up the number of the year and you don't go 20 plus 26 or 202 plus 6. You go 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6, which equals 10. And that looks like an I, but that is I guess, the font because it is a 1. Looks like I-O. Um, but it's 10. And 10 also can be added 1 plus 0 and go down to 1. So 10 and 1 are the numbers of the year, fascinatingly, kind of like Omega and Alpha, isn't it? Kind of like Neptune transiting the last degree of Pisces and moving into the first degree of Aries, which is a big event that started last year, but is officially happening and shifting for good. Neptune moves into Aries for good this year. And so 10 is the Wheel of Fortune and 1 is the Magician. So Wheel of Fortune is a card that speaks of change. Change is in the air, and I'll show you the card in a minute. Magician is all about tapping into the magic that's all around us and using our will to bring things into manifestation. But we also want to make sure it's right use of will. So here is the Rider-Waite card of the Wheel of Fortune. And it is the Jupiter card. So each of the cards actually have astrological correlation. And I'm teaching a tarot course actually, and I'll mention it more later, but I'm teaching a tarot course that starts mid to late February. It's a 10-month course. I've been integrating tarot into my teachings for years, and then it's like, especially the last well, I don't even know. I think it's 3 years, but maybe it was more. I've been regularly having students go, well, when are you teaching a tarot course? And I remember thinking like, oh, it never even occurred to me to teach a tarot course, but I've been devoted to studying the tarot really deeply. Well, I first got into it in like 2009. But then I really committed to a deep dive devotion of study in 2013, sorry, 2013. And so it's been 12, 13 years. Oh, another Jupiter cycle with my study of tarot. And I was like, all right, I hear the ask and the universe usually gives me signs with that. So I'm going to be teaching that. And so this is like a little taste of it for those who are interested. So Wheel of Fortune is connected to the goddess Fortuna. And there's this thing that happened recently that you may have seen. I don't even remember where I posted it. But I was studying Guadalupe. So, we just had the Feast of Guadalupe, and it was on, they said December 8th, and that was Guadalupe from Mexico. But I was just in Spain and France and Spain. And I actually went to Guadalupe, Spain, which when I first got there, I thought, oh, are they connected? But they're not connected. They have they both have goddess energies, but the Guadalupe of Mexico is connected to the apparition that happened in Mexico, and Guadalupe in Spain is different. So I was just researching Guadalupe, and then I found out that December 8th, when we're told is Guadalupe, the Feast of Guadalupe, actually in the 1500s, when the apparition happened, was not in the Gregorian calendar, was in the Julian calendar. And December 8th was the winter solstice back then. So this feast day, actually, the solar gate portal behind it is connected to solstice, and yet today it's being celebrated like 12, 13, 14, depending on when solstice lands, days before. And I was just like, wow, that's really interesting. And Fortuna, the same thing. So there's two dates that are said to be celebrated, that are celebrations of the goddess Fortuna. And one of them is June 8th, and the other is June 21st. And June 21st is the solstice on the Gregorian calendar, and June 8th would be the summer solstice in the Julian calendar. So Fortuna and Guadalupe have this interesting juxtaposition. Guadalupe holding the winter solstice energy, and Fortuna holding the summer solstice energy. And I just happened upon that um, in my research on Guadalupe. And when I was looking up the holy date of Fortuna for this card, and I was like, oh, that's fascinating. Same thing happened with the other goddess. Anyhow, the whole point of this is that we change calendars, and that's all over social media right now. I can't tell you how many things I've seen pop up telling me, did you know today is not really New Year's Day? This isn't the real calendar. And it's like, and they're right. Some of these people don't clearly have a very embodied understanding of what they're sharing. They're just kind of copy pasting because then they're saying some other things that make absolutely no sense. But there's other people who are on point and accurate, and I'm going to speak to it because it's popped up so much. I'm like, well, seems to be in the field. I mean, I've taught this. It's what Stargate Mystery School is all about, is the living sky and the actual tracking of the sun, the moon, and the stars, which is what ancient calendars did, and the Gregorian calendar separated us out from that. And so I have another slide on that. Um, so Wheel of Fortune is a card that just lets us know change is coming, right? It's a card of change, and that's going to feature big time this year. What goes up must come down, and what goes down will come up. And it's just like it's the cyclical nature. It's winter and summer, it's day and night, it's light and shadow. We are never going to just stay in one position. And actually, stasis in science is a precursor to death. So you always want things to be changing and evolving, which is why it's really important to understand that our myths have been stuck and not changing. So if you see in this card, this is actually well, here. This is an angel. They say man, but it's actually female because Aquarius used to be a she and not a he. And this is Aquarius. And then this is the eagle slash phoenix bird of Scorpio. And down here is the Taurus bull, and over here is the Leo lion. And these are the four fixed signs, and they correlate with the royal fixed stars of Aldebaran, Regulus, Antares, and Fomalhaut that used to be in fixed signs in tropical, but have all precessed and moved into mutable signs as of 2012 when Regulus moved into Virgo. All of them are now immutable signs. Now, if you look at the living sky, these stars didn't move, it didn't, like, for example, Fomalhaut used to be in Aquarius, is now in Pisces. You're not going to find Fomalhaut not by the Aquarius constellation anymore because that's the living sky, and the living sky is different than tropical astrology. But from a tropical astrology perspective, things have shifted. And so I have a whole article on this actually, and I have these links and I will put them in chat, and then I'll put them under the video after, because if I try and do it in between talking, that'll just be weird. But I have an article on my website. You can find it too. Just go to divineharmony.com, and it says moving from fixed to mutable. Um, Something changes in the air or something like that. I forget what the tagline is. So we've essentially got these four fixed sign symbols showing, and they're all reading these little white books, right? And they're all winged. So the winged energy is showing the potential to take flight and reach for the heavenly, higher awareness aspect, right? And then the reading of the books is that they're studying, they're apprenticing. Wheel of Fortune is actually the middle card of the major arcana. So the majors, there's 22 majors, and it starts with zero, the Fool, and it ends with the World, 21. And Wheel of Fortune is in the middle. It's right smack in the middle. And actually, the imagery on the Wheel of Fortune is kind of a precursor to what you see on the World card, the last card in the line of the major arcana. And so this card is all about change and movement and telling us that the only constant is change and that we need to move through life with this fluidity of birth and death, of loss and gain, of growth and pruning, and not try and stay stuck in one thing, which is kind of something that modern consciousness tries to do. Modern consciousness prefers just growth, just positivity, immortality, more, bigger, faster, whatever, and has lost touch with the wisdom of death, of darkness, of loss, of letting go, of, the pruning part of cycles, of winter, even. Winter is a time to like let everything appear to die and turn within so that we can come back out again and rebirth ourselves. So, we've got this card that's all about change, and it's also about fate and destiny. Is it a good fate? Is it a bad fate? Well, one of my favorite quotes is by Swami Nisargadatta. Nisargadatta. I always pronounce his name wrong. And I've quoted this millions of times. So if you've been my student, you've heard this a lot, but it's like a really good quote. So he says, if you want to know your past lives, look at your present life circumstances. If you want to know your future lives, look at your present life actions. So if you want to know the past and you want to know the future, it's all about the present. It's what you're doing now, it's what you're dealing with now, and this now moment is the only point of power. And so with the wheel, we are reminded that whatever is coming up in this moment is a result of the past or a result of actions we're taking now that are taking us into the future. And we have the power of choice. But there is also something to be said for the fact that we don't have total control. Things happen. Good people have bad things happen to them, and bad people have good things happen to them. And when a horrible hurricane hits a town or a city, everybody there feels the impact. And it's not like everybody there had bad karma for it to happen. No, there's a level of impersonality to the universe. There are just timings. There's time for death and time for birth and time for growth and time for pruning. And sometimes it's not because you're having bad karma or, being punished. It's just that this is the cycle that's happening and it's just how you meet it. And so that's what this card really tells us. So, how do we react to the changes, the good changes, the bad changes? Um, and that will be a focus for us, but also for humanity this year, no doubt. The royal fixed stars, this is from my article. You can read more about it, but there's Aldebaran that moved out of Taurus and into Gemini, into the sign of the twins. And it moved actually in 1286 AD. Antares actually was the first one that moved in 1272, just a few years before. Moved out of Scorpio into Sagittarius. This is all tropical movement, tropical Scorpio to tropical Sag. And then we had Fomalhaut move in 1725, and Regulus was the last of them. Each of these royal stars confer success if something is aligned with or if something is avoided. So Aldebaran is success through integrity. If you stay aligned with integrity, you will find success. Whereas Regulus success happens if revenge is avoided. So don't become revengeful, wanting to get back at people. Otherwise, success will not, be coming your way. For Antara, success if obsession is avoided. So don't get obsessed and only be able to see your own perspective or whatever over the top. And then Fomalhaut is success through noble ideas. So if you are devoted to noble ideas and bringing them through, then the success will come. So I write about how in this article we move from the four fixed signs, which is connected to that Hermetic or mystery school principle of to know, to will, to dare, and to be silent, if you've heard of that. To know was Aquarius, to will is a Leo, I think, to dare is Taurus, and to be silent is Scorpio. I may have gotten them wrong. But I was feeling into the new ones that need to come in when these royal fixed stars are in signs of mutability. I mean, first of all, the mutable signs are all dual signs, right? So Gemini is mutable, it's the twins. There's two twins, and anciently it wasn't two boy twins. It was a male and a female, a mortal and an immortal. She was immortal, he was mortal, and that was the original energy of Gemini. Virgo is the pregnant virgin. It's the sexual, obviously had sex or somehow sexually procreated, whether it happened within herself via parthenogenesis or not, but she's also a virgin. Sagittarius is the archer, but it's a centaur. So he's horse on the bottom, man on top, dual. Has the animal principle, but also the human principle. And then the fishes are two fishes swimming in opposite directions. And so the mutability shows this ability to find balance in duality, right? And that is actually really something that we need to figure out as a humanity because we are split. We are split politically. We are split between light and shadow. We are split through religions, sex, gender, whatever. There's so much splitting happening. And that is not going to fix the world. That is going to tear the world apart more, even more than we see it already. And so these mutable signs, these dual signs have the medicine for us if we're willing to do the work. Interestingly, the rulership of all of these signs, the ancient rulers are all Mercury, Jupiter. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, and Jupiter rules Sag and Pisces. But also we've got Neptune for Pisces as well. And so, interestingly, the tarot cards for this year are Jupiter Mercury cards. Wheel of Fortune is Jupiter, Magician is Mercury, and it's all about the mind and opening our minds and being more committed to the truth than we are to being right. And try doing that when you're getting activated by other people's political positions or religious choices or whatever. And so I was just feeling into, instead of to know, to will, to dare, to be silent for Gemini, I had to learn for Virgo to serve, Sagittarius to teach, and Pisces to love. So we're shifting from will and daring, more of these kind of, intense, like go for it energies, to this openness to not just teaching, but also learning and to be servants, of the people as the kind of leaders we need, and to come from love, which is one of the highest aspects of Pisces. So anyhow, that is Wheel of Fortune, and then the Magician. I love this card. So, as I said, 10 can also add down 1 plus 0 is 1. So the magician is also operating this year, but behind the scenes, right? Because it's like the Wheel of Fortune is front and center, but then behind it is the magician. And we want to make sure we're aware of what kind of magicians are operating behind the scenes, right? Because there's black magic and there's white magic, and there's ego-based magic and there's heart-based magic. And so it's the Mercury card. Magician is Mercury. And there are only two major arcana that have the infinity symbol above the head. It's this one and Strength. And the Strength card is the one where the woman is with the lion, and it's the Leo card. And the infinity symbol, shows this to me, shows this connection to the infinite that is accessible. So if you notice in this card, his left hand is pointing down to the earth and his right hand is up, and he's bridging heaven and earth. His left side is the feminine side, and his right side is the masculine. He's holding a wand up, and he's becoming a conduit for the forces of heaven to come into and through him and be grounded into the earth. This card is filled with flowers, which are feminine symbols, roses, lilies, the red of passion, the white of purity, the green of nature. And on the table, we see the four elemental tools. We see the pentacle, that's earth, and the chalice, that's water, and they're both yellow, and they're both inwards on the table. And those are the two feminine elements, earth and water. We see the masculine elements hanging off the table, like, there to grab quicker, but also perhaps, seems a little too easy to grab them, and the other ones might not be paid attention to. And we need to understand that they all need to be utilized in balance. The sword is the mind, the air card or the air symbol, and the wand is fire. And I know a lot of people say fire is spirit. Fire is not spirit. Fire is will and ego. And ego is not a bad construct if it's working in a healthy way. You actually want to have a healthy ego. Um, Gurus who have lost their ego completely, they wear diapers. They can't go to the bathroom. They need people to carry them. Like, you don't want to lose your ego. Like, maybe if you are meant to have that path, but then you're going to need people to totally take care of you, because the ego is the construct that helps you be in the world. And so, what we're being called to do is have the higher self driving and the ego in the passenger seat, like maybe with the map helping out. But the higher self is the one that's doing, the control. And so fire is ego and will, and then ether is spirit. And all four of the elements can be spiritualized. Ether can come through fire, ether can come through water and air and earth. And that's when you've essentially taken that element to the highest expression. But in and of itself, fire is not spirit. So we've got all these elements, these symbols of the elements on the table, and these are the things that we work with to bring things into manifestation. And Magician is a pure energy card. It's a card of action, of creation, of manifestation, of magic. But reversed, it's a card of misuse of magic. And it's also can show when reversed that we're grabbing the sword and the wand, the mind and the cutting, of the tongue, and the will or the ego when we're not going for the softer elements when they need to be used, the pentacle, the chalice, the body, the emotions, the heart is what they represent. And so this is operating behind the scenes, and there's a lot of magic afoot to be accessed with those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, as Jesus said. So the Chinese New Year of the Fire Horse. I actually found a fire Pegasus horse because I just thought it was pretty. But in Chinese astrology, it's just a horse. And it's not official until the new moon on February 17th, but that's actually an eclipse. And it's in Aquarius. So it's the first Aquarius eclipse. We're starting to move into Aquarius Leo eclipses, and the nodes will be changing, I believe in August. I have it written down on another slide. And so, what's fascinating about this year is horses already are considered yang as opposed to yin, fire as opposed to water, or masculine as opposed to feminine, external as opposed to internal. And it's the element of fire. So it's like double down on the fire. And fire is like a huge theme this year because of all the planets moving into Aries for good or already there, which I'll talk about. It's gonna be like, whew, it's gonna be a fiery year. And the double down energy, it just amplifies it. So horse is known to be, I'm a horse, so it's my birth year or my birth return year. Horse is supposed to be energetic, talkative, adventurous, loves freedom, passionate, independent, outgoing, has leadership qualities, and is good communication skills, high energy, but can also be impulsive and can have difficulty in accepting advice for others, or being the student, not just the teacher. And so we want to be aware of like too much fire, right? I read online on, I meant to reference where I got this from, but it was like it was a Chinese astrology website. Oh, shoots. Anyhow, I read that in China, there's actually superstition that women born in this kind of year will have very strong egos that can negatively impact marriage, fire horse years. And so they will actually have lower birth rates in fire horse years because of social pressure. But when I heard that, when I read that, I immediately thought of Eris, this goddess who's been called the goddess of discord and chaos. But she's also the disruptor of toxic old orders, and she's the revealer of shadow, and she's the solar feminine. And so apparently they're working to, counteract these old superstitions, but I just thought that was kind of interesting tidbit. There's so much Aries this year. Saturn moving into Aries for good, Neptune into Aries for good, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at the first degree of Aries. Eris and Chiron are both in Aries and have been. They make their third and final conjunction this year. So it's just like there is no escaping the fire, that is coming. It can be an intense, eventful year and a year of movement and change. So Eris has been at 25 degrees of Aries. Eris is beyond the orbit of Pluto. She moves really slow. I have a whole masterclass on her. She is more than just the goddess of discord and chaos. She's very tied into the Me Too movement. When women started speaking up and calling out sexual abuse. The movie, oh God, what is it called? I talk about it in the Eris Masterclass. I'm in perimenopause, but so I've been having these times where I just like forget words and names. It's like not fun. What is it called? It was the movie Wonder Woman. When Wonder Woman came out in 2017, that movie, I remember I watched it alone. I don't even know why. I just was like, I want to go to this movie alone. Not that I have a problem going to movies alone, but I specifically did not want anybody with me when I went to watch this movie. And I just had like chills the whole time. And at the end of the movie, I actually started uncontrollably sobbing because it felt really important to see this powerful, fierce feminine who was still connected to her heart. She loved babies and wanted to protect people, in this movie. And it was literally like the archetype of Eris had come to life on the screen, the solar feminine. And whoever scheduled the time to release that movie, I feel like they consulted an astrologer because there was a grand fire trine with Venus and Eris and Saturn on the galactic center and the North Node at 29 Leo conjunct Regulus. It was insane. I was just like, they had to have consulted an astrologer. So anyhow, Eris moves super slow, and she's been going over this degree in this meditation, the star sparks, which if you're familiar with my work, I reference them all the time. They're from Elias Lonsdale. So they're like a variation on the Sabian symbols, but they are, in my opinion, often a lot deeper. And this particular degree is called a great dragon asleep in a cave. And it's essentially the dragons waking up. And Eris has been going back and forth over this degree from 2018 till 2027. And I'm going to read it to you now. So feel free to, if you want, close your eyes and just feel the transmission that came through Elias. A great dragon asleep in a cave. The dark deep inside, seeking to emerge from a spell, from an enchantment, from a curse. The shadows, the beast, the serpent, the dragon of legend and myth, stirring restlessly, pervasively, bringing forth longings and desires previously suppressed and denied. Secrets and mysteries, realms within realms, so much to get back in touch with now. A promise to the children of the future to come alive at the appointed time. The inquiries of karma and of destiny, that which cannot be understood, will not conform to convention. A wildness, a raw, primal quality of needing an immense outlet for a huge energy that never had a place here. A desperate drive to let these things emerge or else feel trapped and stuffed and caught in meaningless retrials of self-avoidance at all cost. An emotional energy of ferocious intensity, so deep, so forbidden, so strange to the modern ways, called to merge, to tap the depths, to activate the dormant powers for the sake of the whole. An absolutely extraordinary ability to draw forth what was hidden in each and all, a threshold capacity to elicit confidence and strength and new forces in those who are seeking a further unfoldment beyond the known. The world's most fertile energy frequency, yet often postponed or held in reserve, captured by pasts and futures at war with each other. The shadow must be honored if the light is to dawn. All of this is known and sensed with overwhelming force. It will come out. It will come through. Ooh, I have chills every time I read that. I'm just checking to make sure we're still going. Yes, we are. Okay, great. So, Eris is activating this degree, and I just visualize us all as these dragons waking up, the primordial energy of the great dragon mother, awakening in us all. And this is a good meditation to just be with during these years. I mean, it's literally like a 9-year portal, so we have 2 more years of it. I have written that. And it's posted on my website. So I know I didn't put it in the screen because it was so much text. It was going to be too small. So you couldn't like screenshot it, but it's on my website. So if you were to go to my website and just search in the search bar, uh, in quotes, a great dragon asleep in a cave, it'll pop up. And then you can copy and paste and like, put it on your altar or whatever, work with it. So we are heading into a super powerful Sirius portal. So every time around this year, we have the perihelion, which is when the Earth is furthest from the sun and opposite Sirius, this fixed star Sirius, which is the brightest star in the sky. This will be exact tomorrow, Saturday, January 3rd at 10:15 a.m. Mountain time, so adjust for your time zone accordingly. This is why at this time of year, if you go out at midnight, you'll see Sirius overhead because our sun is opposite Sirius. And if the sun is down, at midnight, is down at the bottom, then Sirius opposite is going to be at the top. But this year, we don't just have the yearly perihelion. We have exact alignments of the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, all 5 personal planets, activating or being activated by Sirius running from January 3rd through the 10th, from tomorrow, Saturday the 3rd, until this coming Saturday the 10th, which is the portal that my offering is happening in. So this is highly unusual. I personally have Jupiter conjunct Sirius natally, and then the precess Sirius. So the stars move very slowly, 1 degree every 72 years. So kind of imperceptible to us, living one lifetime of whatever the average years are. We don't see the movement, but when it gets tracked over time, it is very visible. And it has to do with the cycle of the ages and precession. But anyhow, so my Jupiter is past Sirius when I was born. And I just had the precessed Sirius, the movement of Sirius today, activate my Jupiter in the last 2 years, precise to the minute. So I've been very tapped into Sirius my whole life because I have it neatly, but especially the last few years. And I'm very excited about this portal for obvious reasons. So I have a whole masterclass on this, and I'm just going to boil it down to a few things, but I'll talk about the big discount offerings that I have for things if you're new and you don't have this class. Sirius is the spiritual son of our sun, our parent star. So our sun is in a binary relationship with Sirius. That is why at aphelion and perihelion, when we are the closest and furthest, Earth is closest and furthest from the sun, there's always an alignment with Sirius. At aphelion, we have sun conjunct Sirius. At perihelion, we have sun opposite Sirius. That's because there is an alignment of our sun with Sirius, and it's very important. It's seen as the higher octave of our sun, the spiritual sun of our sun. If our sun gives us light and life on earth so we can grow things and live and breathe, well, then Sirius provides this spiritual light and the spiritual life. And I did a whole, I think it was in this class, I talked about all these like major world spiritual teachers. They have strong Sirius in their chart. Like it's a thing. So when Sirius is strong, the frequency of higher teachings, of downloads, of inspiration, of psychic openings, of dreams, like is just like the portals open. But it's a big portal this time because so many planets are involved. So we have Mars opposite Sirius tomorrow, full moon conjunct Sirius tomorrow in the morning from like 12 a.m. to 3 something a.m. Mountain time. So it's overnight tonight in your dream time. And I'm going to recommend dream incubation at the end of this. I'll show a slide about it and talk about it more. And for those who are in the Sirius Portal series, I'm going to ask tomorrow if anybody had any dreams overnight they want to share. So we have Mars and the full moon activate Sirius and the perihelion, all tomorrow. Then the Sun and Venus both oppose Sirius on January 4th, with the actual Sun Venus conjunction January 6th. And then Mercury opposes Sirius on the 10th. So it's just like one after another. Mars, full moon, Sun, Venus, Mercury. And then we also have a bunch of really powerful conjunctions happening in this time. Sun, Venus, January 6th, Venus, Mars on the 7th, Sun, Mars on the 9th. Divine lovers, there can be a lot going on in relationships, romantic, in our own masculine and feminine relationship within. And then Jupiter gets involved. The 9th and the 10th, Jupiter opposes all the Capricorn bodies. And then the moon will move to co-join Jupiter, I think like half a day after the full moon. And so Jupiter is amplifying it all. And so it's in this portal that I'm offering this series, but also I really recommend you take time to be in nature, to be meditating, to be working with your dreams, paying attention to them, not just thinking, oh, whatever, that didn't matter or whatever, but really going, what is the message there? Dreams are massive messengers from spirit, from our higher selves, both about our greatest light that we're needing to fully embody, as well as the shadow that's blocking us. And dreams are such gifts. I love dreams. Dream work is one of my favorite things, and I tend to weave it into a lot of classes. We'll be doing dream stuff with tarot actually in the 10-month course. So here is the full moon chart. I didn't write a lunar insight for this time because I was doing this and I just had like a lot going on, but you can see the chart here. Here's the moon 1302 and Sirius is currently at 1426. So it's over a degree, but it's under a degree and a half, and Sirius is like the most important fixed star in the sky, so you can widen that orb. And then the moon is, of course, opposite, very tight. Venus, Sun, Mars. And then Mercury will get involved, by the 10th, he will oppose Sirius. And so what's interesting is the moon is really high out of bounds in the sky. And then we've got a triple declination alignment of Sun, Venus, and Mercury under the ecliptic. So it's like the moon is bringing light to things, bringing visibility. And then there's things from under the ecliptic that are coming up to be revealed. And then Jupiter's like just putting a jolt of expansion, but also perhaps excess energy in there. One of the things I think is the most powerful in this chart is there's a really important mystic rectangle. So, moon opposite sun, north node opposite Virgo, tight mystic rectangle alignment. And that happens when there's two trines. So South Node in Virgo is trine the Sun in Capricorn, Moon in Cancer is trine the North Node in Pisces, but there's also sextiles. Pisces, North Node is sextile the Sun, South Node is sextile the Moon. So we have this capacity to deal with the karmic past and move into the future and bring things to light. Like, this is why I really recommend a lot of like spiritual practice, dream work, reflection over this period of time. Because the amount of stuff that can come in is kind of on another level, and it can help prepare you for the year ahead. It can be like this incubation period where your soul and spirit or higher self or guides or whatever it is you believe in or how you conceive of it gives you the messages that you need to carry forward with you in the year ahead. And so, I really, really recommend it. One other thing I want to mention is Jupiter is opposite Atlantis, which is an asteroid, which evokes past civilization whose technology outran their morality. And Chiron is coming to a standstill, actually stationed direct about 19 hours before the full moon. You can't see it in the, I don't know why there's not a D there, but it is at standstill. And D would be direct station indication, and it's conjunct Pandora. So, what might be coming out of Pandora's box, we need to be aware, and this is why I teach what I teach, is like in Atlantis, the masculine and the mind and the power and the tech came out of balance with the feminine principle, with compassion, with kindness, with morality, with empathy, with just like a simple awareness of, oh yeah, I could make a lot of money, investing in this company that's destroying the planet, and it could be really good for me, but it's like, well, wait a second, is that how you want to make your money? Like, the more of us that divest from these companies, that yeah, they can make us lots of money if we invest in their stock, but they're destroying the planet, so the planet might not be around much longer. So go ahead, invest, make all that money, and then we'll all die. Sorry, that was a little apocalyptic, but like that's just a way to think about it. That's what happened in Atlantis. I don't know about the investing, but like they literally got so out of balance that the civilization got destroyed. So we need to be aware of that. And the full moon activates the United States chart. So the United States sun is at 1319 Cancer. Full moon is at 1302. So right smack on it. Also triggering progressed Jupiter in the progress chart of the United States. So I will be talking about the United States chart in this series, especially on the Jupiter teaching day. Um, I have I have some very crazy connections to the United States, both the chart, but also just some other things I might share in the series. But I have a few articles up about it, and I'll include them in the link. I have one about the Pluto return of the United States, which technically is over, and I called that Transformation of a Nation. But then I did a part two, Transformation of a Nation, and I talked about a bunch of other things. And I even have a part three that I've already written, but I haven't posted because I just got really clearly that it wasn't time to post it yet. So it might be coming soon. I don't know. But if you're interested in the United States astrology, if you go to my website and just search USA, it should pop up. But I'll also include the links in chat in a bit and at the bottom of the, you know, video replay. So the full moon in Cancer is conjunct Sirius, and this is the degree for the full moon. So 1302 rounds up to 14. The Sabian symbols, and that's what this is. This is a Sabian symbol. They were written when Sirius was in its previous degree. We now have Sirius rounding up to 15, but he evoked the energy of Sirius in this degree because this is where Sirius was when these were written. Um, so both the Sabian symbol and the star sparks for the full moon essentially evoke something ancient. So the Sabian symbol talks about timeless wisdom and cycles of the ages, and the Sabian or the Star Sparks also talks about something similar. So I'm going to read them both here. You can follow along with this one, but this Star Sparks was too long to put on one thing, so I'll just read it. So a very old man facing a vast dark space to the northeast. Fulfillment and transcending and changeless wisdom. The symbol describes the wise old man, an archetypal figure found in all systems of symbolism. I would like to add here wise old woman, wise old non binary being. In occult terminology, the Northeast is the direction from which spiritual cosmic forces enter the Earth sphere. This is probably because the polar axis of the Earth is inclined by 23 degrees away from the exact perpendicular to the plane of its orbit. Thus, the actual pole of our globe not only differs from the permanent pole of Earth's orbit, but constantly changes its direction, successively pointing to several large circumpolar stars during the cycle of the ages, the so-called precessional cycle, 26,000 year cycle. Moves very slowly. Um, Supposedly during the early Golden Age, no such change occurred. There was a perpetual spring, and the Earth wasn't on an axis. It was perfectly balanced. This is the traditional spiritual state, is of perfect balance. So the wise old man faces the changeless reality, the true north, which for us is located in the northeast direction. He faces the great void, the apparent darkness, which is an intense light invisible to our senses. So then he goes on to talk about where it is in the sequence. It talks about consistently, for a long time, meditating on the changeless spiritual reality at the core of all experience, you can attain the supreme age-old wisdom. And so this is a symbol that speaks to permanence and truth. Now, the star spark symbol, I'll read the whole thing. It's just a little long, but it's fine. So it's called, the title is A Dried Up Stream Bed Covered with Smooth Rocks. There are lifetimes where you must face it. You must recognize that the historical self, the empirical ego, has generated a deserted world and cannot do otherwise. You must live with the sharp conscious knowledge that everybody you've ever been is now obsolete, way off, and useless. If you can take this, you are admitted on probation to certain mysteries. And you will then be called upon to do collectively what you've been doing inside yourself. You are there to assist in any way as the old forms dissolve, the old structures crumble, the old earth becomes used up and discarded. There is a dark depth to your task. Often you're required to push or pull, trip somebody up, or hasten the outcome. You are a trickster. You need to be, for the assignment is very hard to fulfill, and if detected, you can't get anywhere. But there is also an inner world's power of an awesome kind. You are tapping one of the greatest storehouses of wisdom and regenerative force there is. And because of this, you need to be very straight, very simple, and very honorable. Nonetheless, on the inside, you can access just about any realm you need to if this is what serves. You are on a very strict path, yet within that you can roam free. There are contradictions, anomalies, odd touches here. What is really happening? Who is being served? Why is the gaze so fixed and trance-like? It is possible to remember and to awaken and to serve from a place of perfect interior tranquility. So those are the medicine meditations for this full moon happening overnight tonight. Go out and look at the full moon and Sirius, and then go to sleep. Pay attention to your dreams. So is January 1st really the new year? Gregorian calendar versus living sky. So I teach this very deeply in Stargate Mystery School. The whole entire year and a day class was teaching the living sky and the differences between tropical astrology and the Gregorian calendar and the living sky. So the true new year, is it? Well, not really, but there are actually a few options because this is what I've been seeing on social media is everybody is saying spring equinox is the true one. And then I think I've seen one person say winter solstices, but really there's a few options. And that's because the living sky is in a constant state of movement. And there's also different cultures that had different ideas about this. So the Celtic peoples celebrated the new year at Samhain. Samhain is around Halloween. Currently, solar Samhain is usually like November 6th to 7th, and Halloween is obviously October 31st. But this is the time that the sun moves into the darkest portal of the sun time as we move through the death of the sun before the rebirth happens at winter solstice. So the Celtic people saw the start of New Year beginning in the dark, just like all the ancient myths where creation happens out of the dark primordial waters. Well, they saw the new year starting in the dark. So Samhain was the time. Then winter solstice is also a time of the start of the new year when you're looking at it from the perspective of the journey of the sun, because the sun rebirths itself at this point. It no longer goes lower in the sky. The ancient peoples would watch because if it kept going lower, the sun could go out. And they didn't want that to happen, obviously. And so at winter solstice, the sun comes to stand still for 3 days. And this is not something you actually see. It's not like you go out and go, oh, the sun stood still in the sky visibly for 3 days. No, you have to track it every day at the same time and you have to calculate the degree. And it takes science and observational tools or really good eyes. But you do see it come to a standstill and then it starts to imperceptibly rise again. And that's why all these sons of God, Jesus, Dionysus, Horus, etc., were seen as being born around the winter solstice or the few days after the sun stops standing still. And then rebirths. And so then spring equinox can also be a new beginning. That's the time we tip into the light half of the year. And it's a time of resurrection from the dark of winter. And we could see perihelion as one of the times of the new year, which is literally 2 or 3 days after Gregorian calendar New Year. And perihelion is tomorrow with the sun furthest from the earth and, or closest, sorry, and opposite Sirius. So we have different options. And yeah, Gregorian calendar is probably the least interesting and the least aligned with anything. And yet it is something the whole world does. So, I still celebrate it. I still personally make a ritual out of going to bed early on New Year's Eve, waking up early on New Year's Day. I do my tarot spread for the year, and I'll do a tarot spread with like one card for each month because it is the Gregorian calendar. So I do a Gregorian calendar spread. And then I go be in nature and I pay attention to whatever animals appear and I see them as like messengers for the year ahead. So that's how I do it. But in terms of is it really the new year? Not really. So there you go. So here are the major themes that are happening this year and that we will be deep diving in this Sirius portal series. So first of all, the Aries activation is what I'm calling arguably one of the strongest, if not the most important influence of the year, although there's just actually no. The transpersonal one at the bottom is really important as well. So we've got Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries for good, crossing the Omega to Alpha point, the end of the tropical zodiac to the beginning, starting a new cycle, and then co-joining at the first degree of Aries at 0 degrees 45 minutes of Aries on February 20th. So this conjunction of Saturn, the last of the visible planets, and Neptune, one of the invisible transpersonal planets, at the Aries point is like a really big deal. And we'll be exploring some of the history around that, um, where it is in the living sky, the mythology, other things. Also, we have the final Chiron Eris conjunction in Aries. So, Chiron, the wounded healer, and Eris, the goddess who's said to be discord and chaos, but she's also the disruptor and she's the revealer of shadow. We have one more conjunction with them in Aries, and then all of these Aries planets tensely aspect the nodes of destiny and karma. So it's like, whew, a lot of fire. And I do worry about fire, like as an environmental thing around the world this year. I will say that. Um, and fire also means action, setting things into motion, taking initiative. You know, Aries is a sign that does not sit at home twiddling its thumbs, waiting for someone to inspire him to act. Aries is like the first one out of the gate, chomping at the bit, ready to go. And some of us need to get in touch with that. Others of us maybe need to tone it down because we don't actually know how to pause and think before we act. But also, Aries can correlate with anger, you know, exacerbation of will and ego energies, especially that magician card operating behind the scenes, right? Behind that wheel of fortune. Who's turning the wheel? What magical energies are being used or misused to turn the wheel? Is it turning naturally, or are there things unnatural that are happening, like genetically modifying the environment? Um, so that's the first thing. Then the eclipses and the nodes are shifting into Aquarius and Leo. So we will see the beginning of the shift of the eclipses this year. The nodes actually do change. And on the next slide, I actually have dates for these things. So you guys can screenshot and write it in your calendar. Obviously, I'll have them in the series as well, but I wanted to make sure that people had dates who just were coming to this live thing and might not be part of the program. So we're going to have the North Node move from Pisces to Aquarius, the two most transpersonal signs. Capricorn is also seen as a transpersonal sign, but Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And when you're looking at modern rulers, not the ancient rulers, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and Pisces by Neptune, two of the three transpersonal planets. And you can even, I suppose, add Eris in there. She's transpersonal because she lies beyond Pluto. And so we have this, you know, visionary, transpersonal energy that's very present. And that's not even talking about the fact that we're going to have this, you know, the last thing, long awaited transpersonal grand sextile is totally tied into this. So with the North Node in Aquarius, new technology, new visions, new, you know, blow your mind open ideas and things happening. You know, Uranus is the planet of upheaval. He's also one of the planets of change. And interestingly, having North Node in Aquarius when ruler Uranus is officially in air, tropical air, Gemini, and Pluto is also in Aquarius, amplifies the Aquarian energies and definitely takes the age of Aquarius energies to the next, you know, level, big time. I have a whole masterclass on the age of Aquarius. The Uranian upheaval is what I'm calling the Uranus energy. So Uranus moves into Gemini for good, finishes up the transit with the Pleiades. I have a video all about that actually with the Pleiades, an interview with Martha. We talked about the Pleiades. I believe we talked about Uranus activating the Pleiades, but we talked about the pre-patriarchal myth of the Pleiades. You can find that on my website. The eclipse in August, August 28th, is tightly square Uranus, and it's right after the nodes move, mean nodes move into the new signs. So the North Node will be in Aquarius, and then we have this eclipse tightly square Uranus. That is going to be a very big portal for upsets, upheaval, change. Uh, More on that forthcoming. Definitely with Uranus, the planet of the higher mind in Gemini, the sign of the lower personal mind. We need to prepare for our small minds to be blown open. And the medicine of Gemini is coming back to beginner's mind, that place where, like children, children are so open and receptive to learning because they're not like, oh no, no, that's no, and that's only when the ego starts really strongly developing. Teenagers, maybe, but the younger kids, not so much. I have a teenager now. And so we want to be open-minded so that we even have the capacity to see and receive what's coming in. Because when we have blinders on, it might be there, but it's just out of sight, so we can't even see it. And so, taking the blinders off is important. Pluto and Chiron. So Pluto is relatively quiet. He makes a few aspects, but it's not like in previous years where we've had some of these really insane things. But I will say the solar gateway for Bealtaine is kind of a big deal because he stations retrograde, quincunxing the south node exact on the same day. And we are starting last year, we're in this period of time where Pluto goes out of bounds for almost like half a year. And I'm going to talk about that more in the class, in the series, but that's kind of a big deal. But in terms of big aspects, we get a little bit of a break. Chiron, so I'm putting Pluto and Chiron together for that reason. It's not like I have a million things to say about Pluto. Chiron will begin his ingress into Taurus, and he will link with Jupiter at 0 Leo. He will link with the nodes at the first degrees. And we will actually head into the Chiron return portal for Chiron's discovery, because Chiron was actually just discovered in 1977 in the early degrees of Taurus. And for those of us who have Chiron in Taurus, which I do, we are heading into our Chiron return. So Chiron and Taurus people, we are heading into a very profound return that happens around 5051. More on that in the Chiron class. So Eris, disruptor of old orders, she is strong this year. So she will link with the nodes. She will link with Chiron. She will link with Jupiter. Her station on July 22nd, and that's happened actually for the last few years, connects her to Mary Magdalene, because July 22nd is Mary Magdalene feast day. And we've had Eris coming to standstill on Mary Magdalene feast day. And she has been a disruptor of the patriarchal order, right? They tried to shame her. She's a whore. She's a prostitute. She wasn't important. Women don't matter in Jesus's ministry. And boy, is the truth coming out. And Mary Magdalene and Eris, I think, are like tag teaming, working together. And so we'll explore that in the Eris class. Jupiter, I'm calling Jupiter the guardian of the year because obviously the Wheel of Fortune card is the Jupiter card, but also Jupiter's in Cancer at the start of the year, in sign of exaltation, the most blessed sign Jupiter can be in. And Jupiter stations direct, conjunct Sirius, and stations direct on the United States Sun, and the United States progressed Jupiter. And then later in the year, we'll actually have Jupiter move into Leo and then make all these amazing fire trines with all the fire planets, all the Aries planets. And boy, is that going to be phenomenal. And then the long-awaited transpersonal grand sextile. So many astrologers have been tracking this one. And we're going to essentially have, it's not a grand trine, it's called a grand sextile, or some people call it a minor grand trine, where Uranus and Pluto are trining each other, both in air, Uranus in Gemini. Well, actually, Uranus made a trine to, Uranus sextiled Neptune from 29 Taurus. But the very last degree of Taurus, and then now officially this year will go into Gemini for good, and then everything going forward is going to be from Gemini. Uranus will be in Gemini, trining Pluto in Aquarius, and then at the midpoint of the two of them will be Neptune in Aries. So Uranus is the higher mind, Neptune is the higher heart, Pluto is the higher will and power, and they're all three lining up. And it's going to be a big deal. And it just gets going this year. We actually had a little bit start last year, but all three happen this year in like a 10-day window in July for the first time. So July is going to be phenomenal. And my next slide shows some dates. So hold on a second. One of the things I think is going to be really key, and I mentioned it before, but I'm just reiterating it, maybe saying it in a different way, is the mental awakening that needs to happen. We need to awaken to the power of our minds and the power of our words, to create, the power of our minds to visualize, and then words to create, and then actions to follow. The creative capacity, our ability to co-create with the universe. In the tarot deck, the swords cards are the most intense. They're the ones that have got all the like weird images of somebody with like 10 swords in his back, or, the five of swords, they're fighting, or, looking sad or looking angry. It's like all in the swords. And it's because the mind is the hardest thing to master. And with Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius, two air signs trining each other in a year ruled by tarot cards that have to do with Jupiter and Mercury, the mind and cultivating a deeper, masterful relationship with the mind is going to be medicine this year. So here is an image of dates. So I don't know if you guys want to take screenshots. If you're in the series, I'll somehow probably put this together in some PDF. I'm trying to move my video, but I don't think you can see that, right? I think I'll actually, maybe you can see that. I'm trying to just move my little face off so it's not covering any of these words. Oh my God, let me just minimize it. There we go. So these are dates to put on your calendar, and note here this Uranus, Neptune, Pluto portal that I was just mentioning. So July 15th, we'll have Uranus sextile Neptune. That began in 2025. We had two of them, but this one is happening 3 days before Uranus trines Pluto for the first time. And then we'll have another one this year. And we'll have more too, but this is just the dates for this year. And then a week later on the 25th, Neptune sextiles Pluto for the first time. So essentially July 15th to July 25th is a big deal. And that's just the beginning. So I have a lot more to share on this, in the classes. But this is just for you. If you're not going to join the class, you can put this on your calendar. You can see Jupiter stations direct conjunct Sirius, March 11th. Oh, astrologer's degree. I'll talk about that in the class, but the astrologer's degrees are getting activated by Jupiter in the nodes this year. I actually think astrology is going to go up a level this year, and it's already exploded, obviously, on social media. But I feel like something's going to happen astrologically, like in the astrology community or with astrology teachings. Maybe they'll get more mainstream. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Oh, and I put in here, forgot about this. September 3rd through 8th, I'm actually going to be giving a lunch talk on Eris at the UAC, the United Astrology Conference. And I'm really excited. I've actually never applied to teach at any astrology conferences. I've wanted to, but I've just been so busy single parenting and teaching and writing, and I don't even know. Like it hasn't been something I could do. And I applied this time, and I didn't get one of like the, main spots, which I wasn't necessarily expecting for the first time I ever applied, but I did get a lunch spot, and they want me to speak on Eris. And fascinatingly, the day they gave me is the day Jupiter trines my Eris exact. So I'll be channeling Eris at the UAC. and I hope to see you there. It's in Chicago, I think. I hope I said that right. Oh no, it says it's partly cut off on the slide. Darn it. Really? Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can open this bigger somehow. I don't even know how to do that. Let me see. Is that better? I'm seeing it all. So I don't know why you're not. Is that better? Tell me if somebody in the chat can just tell me if you can see the dates better now. I fixed it. Great. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to leave it for a second so people can take a picture of it. It's weird. I'm now in like this YouTube studio and the video keeps like blipping and doing this weird thing, but I'm assuming you guys aren't seeing that. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I'm like, no, go back. Go back to what? Go back to this? I don't know. I don't know what you're telling me to go back to, but this should be the only thing you see because this is all I have. Okay. If for some reason it's jumping, it is jumping. Huh. I wonder if it's blipping here too. Oh, weird. Okay, maybe if I make it go away, it stops blipping. Let me see. Oh my God. Okay, I'm not going to go back to that. I'm just going to leave this here. So take your screenshot. Hopefully you can see it, all the dates. And then I'm going to check and see if the blipping stopped. Please tell me in the comments if the blipping stopped, because then I guess the blipping was because I don't even know, some interface with Zoom and what I'm showing, and then YouTube backend. I have no idea. Let me see. Did it stop blipping? It cut off again. It keeps moving in and out. Oh my God. Well, it's good as it is. Okay, we're moving on now. Okay, so sorry. Um, all right, so next slide. Sirius Portal. So in this class that I'm offering, this series actually, we're going to be doing a deep dive on one of these each day, the things I just mentioned. And the classes will be 45 to 90 minutes. I kind of really doubt any of them are going to be 45, but maybe 60 to 90 is more accurate. But and it starts tomorrow, Saturday, January 3rd, runs through next Saturday, January 10th, every day at 2 p.m. So same time as this event here, 2 p.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. I think that's 10 p.m. in Paris. I think it's 9 p.m. in UK time. And then it'll be available to watch after if you can't make it live. And then in all these classes, we'll have time for Q&A, for interaction, for sharing. We'll do much deeper dives on things. And I'm actually really excited about it. Because often I feel like in the yearly forecast, I'm just having to like go through things so quickly. So, yeah, and it's all going to be under the auspices of this Sirius energy. We'll be looking at the astrology, the living sky, and where things are. You know, for example, the Saturn Neptune conjunctions at 0 Aries in tropical astrology, but it's actually in the constellation of the Pisces fishes and living sky. And, you know, we'll explore these different things. We'll look at the mythology, the pre-patriarchal myths, the tarot associations, and more. So, you know, it's a powerful year of change, and this is just an offering to help, you know, support you in embracing change, channeling it for the highest, you know, seeing the timing of things. I mean, that's one of the best uses of astrology is just understanding that there's like portals, you know, there's portals of time, and there's times to initiate things that are more auspicious. It's like, you know, are you trying to swim upstream? when all the water's coming down, no, maybe you should swim downstream and catch the current. Like that's what astrology is. There's like these currents, and we can work with them if we know about them, know the timing and what's on offer. And then all of us during the spiritual sun of our sun activations, the downloads, the aha moments, the dreams during this time can be off the charts, but you have to be creating the space for it. So, word of the year. Some of the people are saying this is going to be the year of disclosure. So, disclosure etymologically means the act of opening up to view, a making known or revealing. From disclosen, to uncover, to expose, to view, to open to the knowledge of others, to open up and remove the closure. And has a similar energy or meaning as the word apocalypse, which comes from apocalypsia, which literally means lifting of the veil of illusion or lifting of the bridal veil. So revealing the divine mother who's hidden in plain sight, who's been removed from the Bible and from a lot of teachings. So the key is, if this is the year of disclosure, we want to be discerning because we have to understand that we now have the technology to fake things. So we can have fabricated UFO appearances and fabricated Jesus Virgin Mary apparitions that are tech created and are not authentic. And there's a lot of psychics and intuitives and spiritual people who are talking about this. I've had dreams of it years ago. My mother did too. Like the first disclosure of aliens is likely to not be real. And so we want to have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. We want to be discerning. We want to be in tune with our intuition and our body wisdom. We don't want to be so plugged into the matrix that we can't discern projection with reality. And we also want to be aware of our own hopes and attachments and desires, right? Because if we're really attached to disclosure, and aliens appearing, then it's going to be way easier for us to believe whatever gets projected, whether or not it's true. And so, one thing I also want to say, I was trying to decide if I wanted to say this, but the Divine Mother does not appear with red beady eyes. So I'll just leave it at that. For those of you who know why I'm saying that, you'll know. And for those of you who don't, doesn't matter. Just like it's red beady eyes are not the color of Virgin Mary apparitions. So for me, the word of the year is change. So with such strong air and fire this year, what needs to change is the mind and the will and the ego, the two aspects that humanity tends to resist changing, right? These things take over and then they create chaos when they're not balanced with the body, earth, and with emotions, water, and the heart, water. So it is the year of change, and perhaps it'll be the year of disclosure, but it's like, what will be disclosed? There can be many things. I think, and one of the reasons I teach shadow work is I believe that your ability to see truth without is only going to equal that which you have been able to find seeing truth within. And shadow work is all about seeing your shadow, seeing the stuff in the unconscious that you've hidden from yourself, seeing the stuff that's operating behind the scenes. So if you haven't done that level of work and really gotten in there, it's going to be hard to see it out in the outer world and the world stage, as within, so without, right? So you start within and extend it without. So my tarot course is, so I had an early bird in December, and I actually just opened up the early bird just for 48 hours. So I'll give you guys the link. If you want to, if you want to join, you can save like $100 something, 112, I think. And it's a 10-month course. If you're part of Stargate Mystery School, you know, like the longest course I've ever taught was Stargate Mystery School. It was a whole year and a day. It was actually 13 classes, one a month. And there's like something that happens in a container that lasts that long that's really magical and amazing, and the connection and the community and all of it. So I'm very excited. And it's going to be starting mid to end of February. I don't have the landing page up yet. So when I do early bird offers, it's usually for my existing students who tell me, anytime you offer a new class, I'm signing up for it. And then I just like send it out to people who already know what it's going to be like. Like I've already had like 30 something people sign up for the Sirius series because they're students of mine that know the quality of my teaching and whatever. And then there's people who need to hear more first before they want to sign up. So I will have a webinar about the tarot course, like sharing more, and that's going to be like probably end of January. I'll have a landing page up end of January. The offer link does give some information, but if you're needing more information, that will be forthcoming. But for those who are like, yep, I want to sign up, I just reopened the early bird only for the next 2 days. So until the end of Sunday, January 4th. Um, and I will put that in the chat in a minute because going back and forth is a little bit of a mess. I am shifting to Substack. So I'm actually going to be starting my Substack in mid-January after the Sirius Portal series. I've been having issues with my emails from Kajabi being seen. And they apparently like their click rate. They say anybody that has a Gmail address opened your email, whether they did or not. And then if you unsubscribe from my Kajabi, just because like maybe you don't want emails this summer because you're traveling, and then you try to resubscribe, you can't. You can't resubscribe for like a year or two. There's just been like weird things, and I've heard very good things about Substack. So I'm going to be trying out Substack this year, and they have a better email visibility, and it'll be all, I'm still going to post the public stuff on my website, and then public stuff will get reposted on Substack, but the Substack will mainly be for like the private membership. And so I have a lot that has come in this time when I was, unplugged. And I will be changing some of my offerings. Channeling is definitely something I'm supposed to be doing more of, and I've been avoiding it. And I mean, I channel when I teach, but I mean a different kind of channeling. So the kind where I have no plan and I just go into it and open up and say what comes through. So I love plans, so I've been having to learn to let that go. And I will be doing a lot of writings on my sacred journeys that I was just on. I visited all these Mother Mary apparition sites and Black Madonnas and Mary Magdalene sites, and I have all these things I want to talk about: fallen angels, twin flames, grail lines, ancestral lineage work, and genealogy, health, and why being healthy is the one thing you really should be focusing on in the years to come, and much more. So I will include a link to the Substack. There's a founder member thing that will be available to the end of January. And then I have discounts, 50% off masterclasses, 20% off courses just through the end of Sunday. And these are the codes: Sirius 50 for masterclasses, Sirius 20 for courses. I'm about to give you the links for all of this. Let me just do that real quick. Oh, how am I going to do this? Sirius Portal. Here we go. Let me just get this and put it in chat. And then I think I want to talk about, I forgot the chat. This happened last time. I have to do things one at a time because it makes you limit the words in the chat or something. I don't know. So that's the Sirius Portal series. That's the early bird for the tarot course. Oh, also for tarot for people who need monthly payments, because the early bird is just for one-time payment. There'll be those offered in, when I'm promoting the course later in January. Here's the Kajabi store link for the codes. And hopefully all of this is working. And then what else did I want to give you guys? Oh, Substack sign up. Let's do that. And newsletter sign up. If you're new here and you're not part of my newsletter, you can sign up here. I'm going to include all these links at the bottom of this live stream after it's over. And here's my website. Okay, there we go. So, there we go. So now let me go back to dream incubation. So I really recommend bringing Sirius into your dream space tonight. And so I teach like dream work practices and stuff like that. And so one of the things I recommend is unplugging from tech at least an hour before you go to sleep because the blue light and the tech and the scrolling like interferes. Also, recommend keeping like a journal next to your bed so that if you wake up in the middle of the night remembering dreams, you can write it down or just even write like a few keywords to trigger memory. Uh, I don't recommend writing it on a phone because then it brings the blue light and the tech device energy into the space and it will start messing with the recall. When you wake in the morning before you even get up to go to the bathroom, because most of us probably have experienced, oh my God, I was dreaming, but I really have to pee. Let me go pee. I go pee, and then I'm like, oh, I can't remember my dream anymore. And it's like you have to stay there and just jot some things down. Or if you have a dictaphone, you could record it, or you could record on a recording app on the phone if you just keep the screen low and don't turn it on so you get inundated with text messages or whatever. But bring Sirius into your dream space. Before you go to sleep, call on Sirius, the spiritual son of our sun. Ask for, the ancestors, the ancient ones, the angels, your guides, your higher self, the divine mother, the divine father, Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Virgin Mary, whoever is whom you want to call in, beings of love and light to come and deliver messages and then just bring that into the space overnight because overnight is the Mars Sirius opposition and overnight is the full moon conjunct Sirius. And so it's like going to be beaming us through the night, through the sleep, unless you don't sleep overnight. If maybe you'll be awake for it. If so, go outside and look. So I really recommend that. And then for those who are joining me tomorrow for the class series, if you have dreams overnight that you want to share, I'll create space for that. And it's not an obligation, obviously, but if you want to, you can. So this is my website, Divine Harmony, and the membership is not active on there. It's because I'm shifting to Substack, but there's still articles, lunar insights, videos, lots of videos, class stuff, etc. And then subscribe to the newsletter. And thank you. So now we can go to Q&A. So let me just take this off, stop share, but we're still recording. Make sure everything's still happening correctly. Let me minimize this, minimize that. I'm just minimizing everything. I'll add those links later. All right. So if there are any questions, and they can't be chart related because I really need to see charts to answer chart related questions. We'll have some space for that in the series. But anything related to what I've shared or to class offerings, if you have questions about that. And I don't know why that's still shaking, isn't it? Ah, I don't know what to do about that. In order for me to look at the, uh, let's see. Okay, so will all our purchase courses still? Oh yeah, I'm not canceling Kajabi until I figure out a way to move things. I'm not canceling Kajabi. It's just that the newsletter and the emails are not working. And yeah, so you don't need to worry about that. Um, I would actually really love to just host all my classes on my own website, but the amount of bandwidth and like the cost of building things out is not something that I am able to do at the moment, but at some point I would like to. I'm not shaking. Okay, well, the screen is shaking when I'm in the YouTube studio and I don't understand it, but I'm just gonna try and ignore it. It's kind of annoying. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Hopefully there'll be a replay. Yes, there will be a replay. The live stream will stay up. Well, actually, it should stay up. I don't know. We had some issues at the beginning. So it should, I coded the other one to stay on my page, and I believe this one should stay on my page. But if for any reason it doesn't, I will upload it onto YouTube and send it out in my newsletter. I'll just have to see what happened. Uh, Sorry about the issues for anybody who, was waiting on the other one, going, "Where are you?" Uh, so yes, I answered the question about Kajabi, so that's not a problem. Um, Are you offering readings again? I am not right now. I was considering it, but I just have so much going on and to prepare for the tarot course that if I will, it'll be after the tarot course starts. I mean, if anything changes on that, I'll send out an email in my newsletter, but at the moment I am not. Thank you for asking. Um, let's see. What else do I want to say? Is there anything else? Do you notice the beautiful painting behind me? It's Klimt's The Kiss. This is not my house. This is like a furnished finder. But I love it. And I wanted to feature it in the video. I was like, ooh, it's a beautiful painting. Um, so great to see you back. Thank you. Are some signed in on Zoom and others on Facebook Live? Nope, nobody signed in on Zoom. But when we do the series this week, it's all on Zoom. So it's just I'm streaming from Zoom to YouTube because I'm also recording the class. And I think there's other reasons people use Zoom to stream on whatever. I don't know, but nobody else is there. Will your newsletters still come via email or only through Substack? I think that I'm going to shift probably to just Substack and not through Kajabi, just because I'm having so many issues and I'm having people going, "Why am I not getting your email?" And then they've been like removed or blocklisted, or I've had like people who are real people, and Kajabi says that they're bots, and so they remove them, but then they can't re-sign up because they've been removed. It's just been a bit of a mess. So yeah, I think I will probably shift to the newsletters going through Substack. So Substack has a membership component, but also has a free component. So you can just go sign up there for free. And then my free posts you'll see. Um, and yeah, there's things I have to figure out about how I'm going to do things. But what I do know is that the Kajabi email program is not working for me. So, um, let's see. I did notice. Oh, the picture. Yes. Lovely to see you back. Did you say there will be a monthly payment plan? Yes, there will be. There will be, and that will be when I have the webinar and the landing page up. Like that's not ready to go yet, and so that'll definitely be offered. Um, I love Substack. Yeah, I've heard really good things about Substack, and I just really need an efficient mailing component. Like, so to continue getting your newsletter, should we sign up now? Yes, sign up now for free, but I will also send out newsletters from Kajabi saying, "Hey, I'm shifting here." So like I'm actually doing the Sirius series first before I initiate Substack. So because I'm going to be teaching every day for the next 9 days or 8 days, whatever including today is the 9th. So I will announce it on the newsletter through Kajabi. And if you've been seeing the Kajabi emails, then great. But if you're one of those people who's like, yeah, I haven't seen it, like, I didn't even know about this live stream today. My friend told me, then you probably got dropped or something. And you can always email me directly and I can check things. But yeah, so sign up now for free or for a membership if you want the membership. And then I will also be sharing it on Kajabi. So when will membership open on Substack? It just did. Well, I sent the link and I'll post it below and I'll send it out in a newsletter, but my first post there will not be until after the series is over. So, because I'm pretty much like doing a lot of stuff in the next few days. I want to know about the health aspects this year. Yeah, well, I have a lot to say about that. I mean, my an alternate life path for me would have been to be a naturopath. So I've always been really tuned into health and nutrition and you know, there's a lot more I can say on this, but in short, there's just so much toxins in the air and the water and the food, and it's inundating our physical health and it affects consciousness. So when you're not well, it's harder to be in a place of, higher awareness. Like you're busy, like struggling with chronic, fatigue or Lyme or long COVID or I mean, actually, there's been documented studies about heavy metals and parasites causing people to have um, voices in their head that tell them bad things or tell them to do bad things or tell them they're bad people. Depression can be connected to the gut microbiome being massively disrupted. I mean, there's so many things to say about this topic, but I really do think that doing everything to take care of your health right now is really important because we need to keep our consciousness at a level as we move, at a high level as we move into these big years of astrology that are ahead. And health is going to be one of the best ways to make sure you're doing that. Yeah, health is wealth, I like to say. Let me see. Uh, so can't wait to hear what you learned on your sabbatical. Yeah, it was profound. I mean, the dreams I was having, the experiences I had. I visited so many sacred sites. It's just like on another level. I, yeah, Lourdes and Rocamadour and like Montserrat and Zaragoza and Guadalupe. And I visited, oh, anybody who was in the Holy Grail course, becoming the vessel, I visited the Grail. I visited that Grail that's in Leon, Spain, connected to Urraca, if you guys remember that. I sat with it and meditated with it. Um, I visited several Holy Grail places in Spain. Um, oh yeah, I just Montségur and Rennes-le-Château and Rennes-le-Bain and Bézieux and Chartres and Paris and India. I ended up in India. Um, Let me see. So, let me see. Other people are saying things. So many people are talking about Mary, the Divine Mother. Ah, yeah. Yes. Um, yeah. I have a lot to say about her too. Um, Iona. I know. So I need to I want to reactivate my sacred journeys, and Egypt, Iona are up there, south of France as well. I am actively in communication with people about starting to schedule these things. So maybe there'll be something in 2026, but definitely in 2027, it's happening. So it's been a long time coming or coming back. I'm unable to subscribe to YouTube because we don't use Google. I don't know, but you don't need to subscribe. All my YouTube videos are posted on my website too, so just so you know. And then I will also post them on the Substack and they'll get sent out in the email. And then when I do post new videos, I will send them out in Kajabi email right now since I'm still using Kajabi until I fully transition. The astrologer's degree we'll talk about when in one of the classes this week, when we get to the alignments that are triggering it. Um, I was already following you on Substack, but didn't get notification about membership. Well, let's see. I should only have 2 followers on Substack, and one of my students accidentally found me and then signed up for a membership. She like saw that I had already set it up, and she's like, "I signed up," and I was like, "Oh my God, I haven't even told anybody about it. I didn't know you could see me." So I don't know how you followed me because I've never told anybody I was there. Um, but that's interesting. So if for some reason there's something weird that's happened there, just email me and we'll figure it out. Let's see. Big believer in health. Yes, it's so important. Um, Cooking your own food is really important, especially with all the seed oils and the bad pots and pans that get cooked. I mean, I mentioned it at the beginning, and I don't want to get into it too much, but I'll talk about it more. I don't have a problem talking about it. I'm just trying not to like make this go on forever. But one of the things that was going on with me when I had to take a break was I got diagnosed with adenomyosis, which I've had endometriosis, and I knew about that, and I actually was totally managed it really great. All my pain was gone with herbs and diet. But then adenomyosis came. And I'd never even heard of this, so I was like, what is this? And I ended up like just menstrual bleeding for weeks and months with no break. And I started feeling drained. And part of it was stress and some emotional things going on in family life. But also, I was drinking out of this bottle that had this toxic substance in it, and I was drinking my water out of it every day. And I was also having like using like an oil that was not good, and I just like on a whole other level, I had to listen to my body and make really big changes. And I've healed it, and I have learned a lot. So anyhow, so let's see. Substack, health, like a worm in somebody's brain. A worm in somebody's brain. I don't know what that comment is about, but did I say there were worms in somebody's brain? Um, yes to Substack. Don't love having to use Google. Plastic. Yes, plastic. Oh, yes. Don't. So all takeout is usually put hot food in plastic, and then the plastic leaches into your food, and then you eat the plastic. And it's just like, I mean, it's like never ending. It's just, we really need to be very aware. Yes, Egypt. Well, actually, that's what I'm in communication about is Egypt 2027. So I'm in the midst of planning it. So let's see. All right. So I think maybe we're complete. And right now it says there was 108 viewers, but there were like almost 500 at a certain point. And I just want to say thanks for being here, joining me. I'm going to add into the chat one more time, just a few of these little links. And then as soon as we hang up here, I will add them into the bottom of this live stream. This live stream should show up on my YouTube channel, but the problem is I coded the other thing to stay on my channel, and I don't know if YouTube is going to do this, so I may have to repost this, and whatever I end up doing, I'll send out a newsletter on Kajabi, not on Substack yet. and tell you where to go. So I hope you come join me for this series of classes. You can join in live, you can tune in after. Um, and regardless of what you do, make sure you create space and time these next 9 days, 8 days, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 8 days for the serious Jupiterian energies because they are off the charts. They are amazing. But you got to create the space for it, right? You can be so busy scrolling, checking out, working, who knows, whatever, and like not have what can come through. So you got to create the conditions for it. And that is kind of one of the reasons for the Sirius Portal series is to kind of create a space for us to be in these energies together, to immerse in the teachings of the year ahead, but also to share and to connect and to steep, steep in the Sirius frequency that is on another level present for the next 8 days. So thank you so much. I so appreciate you taking time to come join me today. Sorry about the weird thing at the beginning and sending lots of love for what looks to be a epic year ahead. So goodbye. Thank you. Thank you. Edit in studio.